This is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I've been testing it for the past month and have a lot of thoughts about the phone, its accessories, and all the gates and controversies. This is All Things Mobile, so let's dive in. If you haven't yet, check out my iPhone 17 Pro Max video. I go over everything from iOS 26 and battery life to cameras and the new design, but how did we get here? Before 2025 even began, tech press and early adopters felt Apple was maybe being too minimal with its iPhone Pro design. The titanium body was nifty, but there was rarely any option for a color or a design that differed greatly from 2017's iPhone X. Then, this summer, Motorola released the Razr Ultra, a 7-inch phone that folded down into something the size of a drink coaster. Samsung released the Galaxy Z Fold 7, an 8-inch tablet that folds in half into something that resembles a phone, just thinner. Both had chips that were as fast as any iPhone and came with great cameras. In fact, the Fold 7 had the same 200 megapixel camera that's on the S25 Ultra and S25 Edge. Tech reporters, early adopters were enamored, but when they looked at what the old guard and Cupertino had been doing with the iPhone, many thought this is boring. Then September arrived, and Apple debuted the iPhone 17 Pro. The phone is Apple's answer to those boring accusations. It's the company's Roger Daltrey scream, silencing critics, but there wasn't any fancy over-the-top AI or innovative folding screen. This was Apple going back to what it does best: hardware. They took a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, stuffed it inside a new aluminum unibody frame, and took the iPhone's square camera bump and stretched it wide across the back of the phone like Jack Nicholson's Joker smile in Batman. To top it all off, Apple made it a bold, bright, nearly electric orange color, loud enough to make anyone forget when Apple's phones were boring. The iPhone 17 Pro isn't delicate or polite. It's a bolt of thunder that can also order you an Uber. It is a mean-looking phone, which is actually part of its charm. Yeah, sure, you could try to hide that meanness in a calm, dark blue color, but it's still an absolute beast, just in a Tom Ford suit. Where Motorola and Samsung made their phones look futuristic and fun with different fabrics, Apple's iPhone 17 Pro is decidedly old school. Now, some people won't like the 17 Pro's aggressive looks and think it's too big, too heavy, too similar to iPhone models previously. But that changes the moment you unlock the phone. The new iOS 26 interface is clean, contemporary, and has the kind of shiny, translucent accents that you'd find in an Italian nightclub that plays trashy EDM. Messages finally grew up and got more customizable with the addition of background images for group chats and polls that helped keep a thread's discussion about dinner plans from turning into a long, messy chat. You can have any number of lock screens with any number of cats and make them do this. When you open the camera app, more changes are revealed. The selfie camera got better and lets you take horizontal snaps when holding the phone vertically. It can also automatically zoom out to let more people in the frame. The telephoto camera has a 4x magnification lens that captures fantastic photos. It doesn't quite get you as close to your subject as the iPhone 16 Pro did, but it takes images with more detail and better dynamic range. 8x photos look incredible as long as the lighting is decent. And then there's the battery. In everyday use, the Pro and Pro Max last a day on a single charge. And in CNET's battery test, the Pro models did well. The 17 Pro Max has the best battery life of any phone we've ever tested, iPhone or Android. And if you're someone who's obsessively online, the 17 Pro Max is the one to go with. It's your best shot at quenching your constant use needs. The 17 Pro did well too, better than the 16 Pro and as good as the 16 Pro Max in our 45 minutes endurance test. But if you're considering a Pro, it's worth looking at the iPhone 17. For $270 less, the iPhone 17 did just as well as the iPhone 17 Pro did in our test. In fact, in our 3-hour streaming video test, the standard 17 lasted longer than the 17 Pro. And the comparisons go beyond battery life. The two phones have The same screen, the same selfie camera, the same Ceramic Shield 2 on the front, the same IP68 rating for dust and water resistance, and more. And while the Pro has a more powerful processor on paper, I think the reason to go Pro is for the vapor cooling chamber, which allows the A19 Pro chip to go harder for gaming, and I imagine helps keep the phone future-proof. The Pro also has a dedicated telephoto lens that the 17 doesn't, but is that worth paying $270 more? That's a question you're gonna have to answer. Undercutting all of this were the gates. Scratchgate, where demo units inside the Apple Store had marks and scratches on the back. Now, Apple told CNET that those weren't scratches, but material transferred from aging MagSafe display units. And then there was Zach Nelson and his jerry-rig everything video that honed in on the iPhone 17 Pro's camera plateau and how the steep edges made it easy for Apple's hard anodized coating to chip off. Now, Apple told CNET that normal wear and tear might lead to small abrasions. Adding to all this is CNET's very own Jeffrey Mizrahi, who noticed a static noise coming out of the iPhone 17 Pro Max's speaker when the phone's volume was set to 0 and plugged in to a wired USB-C charger. Now, reports on Reddit, Apple support, and Mac Rumors forums agree with his findings. Mizrahi described the sound as being like a walkie-talkie noise. Now, this could be digital interference, maybe, but it doesn't seem to be widespread. Lastly, there are all the accessories. Apple has a new tech woven case, which is, so far in my use, handling so much better than the fine woven cases for the iPhone 15 series. I also like Peak Design's Everyday case, which has support for MagSafe and Peak Design's ecosystem. I really love the vegan leather looks. I also tested several Beats phone cases, including the rugged case, and my favorite, the Beats kickstand case, which has a wrist strap that turns into a mini stand. Now, as a cat owner, I've had to remove the wrist strap because, well, my cat thinks it's a toy. And if you're a filmmaker or someone shooting video, especially multicam, there's the Blackmagic Camera Pro dock. Now, I just got this in before filming this video, so you have to forgive me for not having a proper cage for it. But this dock gives you separate audio in and out ports, USB-C 3 and 2 ports, HDMI, Genlock, and has 2 tripod mounts. But perhaps my favorite accessory is this one from Google. It's the Pixel Snap ring stand, which acts like a pop-sockety way to hold the phone, but also a stand that's great for video calls, watching video, or even as a tripod in a pinch. After a month with the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max, I still think both are outstanding phones and show that Apple is still listening to its customers and offering them innovative features that they want, but doing it in a way that Apple only can. If you have an iPhone 13 Pro or older, it's definitely worth pondering an upgrade. And if you're someone who still has a previous smaller Pro model, it's worth giving the iPhone 17 a serious look. It could save you hundreds of dollars. But now I want to hear from you. If you have an iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max, what are your favorite features? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more all things mobile, please subscribe. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.